Alright, so our topic for today, saying that it's our Passover, and this was the time that Yashaya was betrayed by one of his close friends, brethren. Right, so this one will be just entitled Traitors. Right? Traitors, betrayed, same thing. So we're going to get into traitors because it's very important, right? Because as we read in Matthew, when Yeshua was betrayed, right? Betrayal, you'll find that betrayal starts always with an offense, right? It starts with an offense, and it always be the ones close to you, the ones smiling with you. It could be your friend, your family, your loved one, right? But it always be the ones close to you, right? So traitors. So let's first start off with, let's go into it. Let's go to Hebrews chapter 10, and we're going to begin at verse 22. So we're going to get a little bit on Passover first before we go into traitors. So let's get Hebrews chapter 10, verse 22. Let's start off with that.
The book of Hebrews, chapter 10 and 22. Let us draw near with a true heart in full assurance of faith.
So as time draws near, brothers and sisters, right, we are to get more serious, right? Especially knowing the time you're in and that life is short, right? We got to draw near to the Most High with a true heart. So you can't fake the fun, right? You have to have a true heart and full assurance of faith, right? So your faith, you got to be in the fullness of faith. You can't have half fear and half faith. It got to be full faith. So the full assurance of faith, come on.
Having our hearts sprinkled from an evil conscience. And our bodies washed with pure water.
So you got to wash your body with pure water. That's baptism. Come on.
Let us hold fast the profession of our faith without wavering.
So when you have that faith that you profess, you believe, you got to have it without wavering. You can't be going to and fro. You have to be grounded. Right? You got to have faith without wavering. Come on.
For he is faithful that promised. And let us consider one another to provoke unto love and to good works.
So like Yeshua did during the time of Passover and even during his time, his ministry, right? It was about another. When he came, he wasn't about himself. He feed the poor. He healed the sick. He raised the dead. Right? So this is what Yeshua was doing. Right? So we got to consider one another. How is this person doing? How can I help this person where they're lacking or where they need? Right? To provoke. Consider one another to provoke unto love and good works. So you got to provoke one another to love and good works. You see that how before you would want to provoke somebody to anger or frustration. You switch that out to love and good works. So we got to do the reverse. Come on.
Not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together.
So as these holy days come by, as the Sabbaths come by, we must not forsake the assembly of ourselves together. This is how we grow spiritually, knowing each other. Right? Come on.
As the manner of some is, but exhorting one another. And so much the more as you see the day approaching.
So as you see these days approaching, we got to exhort one another. Let's come together in fellowship. Right? If you feel down, your spirit is weak, let's come together in fellowship. Let's praise the Most High. Let's drop that. Let's get Leviticus chapter 23.
Leviticus 23 and 1. And the Most High spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, concerning the feast of the Most High, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations. Even these are my feasts.
So there's feasts, right, of the Most High that we are to proclaim, right? Holy convocation. Come on.
6 days shall work be done, but the Sabbath day is the Sabbath of rest and holy convocation. Ye shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings. These are the feasts of the Most High, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons.
So we have to remember the Most High's days, high days in their seasons. So there's specific times when these feasts are celebrated, right? Which is called the appointed times, right? Which is his Sabbaths. So you have the first Sabbath of the year, and then now it's going into the second Sabbath of the year, which is Passover, right? Come on.
In the 14th day of the first month at even is the Lord's Passover. And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread.
So our sundown begins unleavened bread for 7 days. Right? So you have to remove. I know a lot of people more focus on the leaven in the houses, but we got to get out the leaven out of our temple. Right? Because this is now the house the Most High dwells in. Our temple. So we got to remove the leaven out of there first. Right? Come on.
7 days you must eat unleavened bread. In the first day you shall have a holy convocation. You shall do no servile work therein. But you shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Most High 7 days. In the 7th day it is a holy convocation.
The first and 7th day is a holy convocation. Now let's go into some history. Let's go to the book of Exodus. Chapter 12.
And the Most High spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, In the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for a house. And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls.
So you see how they operated? If you have a small household, your neighbor had to partake in that lamb. Right? Come on.
Every man according to his eating shall make your count for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. You shall take it out from the sheep or from the goat. So
this lamb is foreshadowing Christ. So as the lamb had to be without blemish, right? Christ is without God, without blemish, without sin, without spot, without wrinkle. Right? This was foreshadowing everything concerning Christ. Come on.
And ye shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the 2 side posts and on the upper door posts of the houses.
So before the death angel passed over, right? When they took the blood of that lamb, they had to put it on the doorposts to cover those households. So Yeshua's blood, who's the lamb now, right? The sacrifice, the true ultimate sacrifice, his blood covers us. Right? Come on.
Wherein they shall eat it. And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire and unleavened bread. And with bitter herbs they shall eat it. Eat not of it raw, nor sodden at all with water,
So you're not supposed to eat it raw, nor boil it. Come on.
but roast with fire his head with his legs,
Uh-huh.
and with the purtenance thereof.
Uh-huh.
And ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning. And that which remaineth of it until the morning ye shall burn with fire.
So whatever is left back had to be burned in fire. Come on.
And thus shall ye eat it, with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet,
Uh-huh.
and your staff in your hand.
So they had to eat it with haste because this was what? The Exodus. They were leaving Egypt. So everything had to be done in haste. Come on.
And ye shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover.
Uh-huh.
For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt,
Uh-huh.
both man and beast. And against all the gods of Egypt will I execute judgment.
Uh-huh.
I am the Most High.
Uh-huh.
And the Lord and the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses. Where ye are.
Uh-huh.
And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you.
So all the places where the blood is, the Most High will pass over. The death angel will pass over, right? And will not destroy that house. So the same way in this time, the shed blood covered all those who are in him, right? Who they're covered by his blood. Come on.
When I smite the land of Egypt, and this day shall be unto you for a memorial,
Uh-huh.
and ye shall keep it for a feast to the Most High throughout your generations.
Uh-huh.
You shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever.
For how long?
Forever.
So we should keep this feast forever. So as these years come by, we always remember the Passover and what Yeshua did for us. Come on.
15. 7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread. Even the first day ye shall put away leaven out of your houses.
Uh-huh.
For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day unto the seventh day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel.
So for those who don't know, so the leaven, you gotta remove it. Anything that has rising agents in it, 7 days must be put off, must be removed. Right? Come on.
And in the first day there shall be a holy convocation.
Uh-huh.
And in the seventh day there shall be an holy convocation to you.
Uh-huh.
No manner of work shall be done in them, save that which every man must eat.
So the work that was done during that time was the work, the people preparing the food. So that's the work. So it's lawful to do the cooking on this day, as is stated. Right? Save that which every man must eat. Come on.
That only may be done of you.
Uh-huh.
And ye shall observe the feast of unleavened bread. For in this selfsame day have I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt.
Uh-huh.
Therefore shall ye observe this day in your generations by an ordinance forever.
Forever. So now, let's go into the spirit concerning traitors. Let's go to 2 Maccabees chapter 3. So we're going to just use a few examples straight up to Christ. 2 Maccabees chapter 3 and verse 1.
Now when the holy city was inhabited with all peace, and the laws were kept very well.
So at a time, during the time of the Greeks, there was a time when we had peace and the laws was kept well. And how did that happen, Greek?
Because of the godliness of Onias, the high priest, and his hatred of wickedness.
So you had a high priest named Onias who had a hatred for wickedness, right? So anything with wickedness was dealt with strictly, instantly, right? To the point where there was peace at a certain amount of time during this time of Onias, the high priest, right? Because he hated wickedness. He had a hatred for wickedness. Come on.
It came to pass that even the kings themselves did honor the place.
So even the kings of the nations, the Greeks during that time started to honor the place. because of how Onias was operating, the spirit he was operating in. Come on.
And magnify the temple with their best gifts, insomuch that Seleucus, king of Asia, of his own revenues bear all the costs belonging to the service of the sacrifice.
So you had Seleucus, the king of Asia, right? Because of Onias, right, and his godliness, all the costs of the sacrifices, right, was on him, the king of Asia. Right? Come on, he bear those costs. Come on.
But one Simon.
One who?
But one Simon of the tribe of Benjamin.
So here we have no Simon of the tribe of Benjamin. Read.
Who was made governor of the temple.
So he was the governor of the temple. Simon of the tribe of Benjamin. Come on.
Fell out with the high priest about disorder in the city.
So he fell out with Onias concerning disorder in the city. Come on.
And when he could not overcome Onias, he got him to Apollonius.
So he could not overcome the high priest. So you know what? He went to a Gentile concerning Onias. He went behind the high priest's back. Come on.
Apollonius, the son of Thyatira, who then was governor of Seleucia and Phoenix, and told him that the treasury in Jerusalem was full of infinite sums of money.
So he was like, hear this, Apollonius. Right now, Jerusalem, the treasury has a lot of money in it. Right? Come on.
So that the multitude of their riches, which did not pertain to the account of the sacrifices, was innumerable, and that it was possible to bring all into the king's hands.
So he was telling Apollonius to bring all this money into the king's hand, right? When he knew this money didn't belong to the king, nor pertain to the king. Come on.
So when Apollonius came to the king, and had shown him of the money whereof he was told, the king chose out Heliodorus, his treasurer, and sent him with a commandment to bring him the foresaid money.
So now the king sent Heliodorus to collect the same money whom Simon said is in the treasury at Jerusalem. Come on.
So forthwith Heliodorus took his journey under a color of visiting the cities of Seleucia.
So he come under the guise of visiting. You know, let me visit the city and see how everything going. But watch how this play out. Come on.
And Phoenix. But indeed to fulfill the king's purpose.
So his purpose was just to get the money under the guise of visiting. Read.
And when he was come to Jerusalem and had been courteously received of the high priest of the city, he told him what intelligence was given of the money, and declared wherefore he came, and asked if these things were so indeed. Then the high priest told him that there was such money laid up for the relief of widows and fatherless children. So this is what the money in the treasury was for. Widows and fatherless children. Come on. And that some of it belonged to Hyrcanus, son of Tobias, a man of great dignity, and not that wicked Simon had misinformed.
So wicked Simon had misinformed him concerning the money. I'm not telling the honest truth that the money belonged to the widows and fatherless and also Hyrcanus. Come on.
The sum whereof in all was 400 talents of silver and 200 of gold, and that it was altogether impossible that such wrongs should be done unto them that had committed it to the holiness of the place, and to the majesty and inviolable sanctity of the temple, honored over all the world. But Heliodorus, because of the king's commandment given him, said that in any wise it must be brought into the king's treasury. So he said, regardless of who it's for, this must be brought into the king's treasury. Right? Come on. So at the day which he appointed, he entered into to order this matter. Wherefore there was no small agony throughout the whole city. But the priests, prostrating themselves before the altar in their priest's vestments, called unto heaven upon him that made a law concerning things given to be kept, that they should safely be preserved for such as had committed them to be kept.
So now the priest is praying and calling on the Most High to protect the treasury. Right? So we're going to see what's done to Heliodorus. Come on.
Then whoso had looked the high priest in the face.
Whoso looked the high, after this prayer was prayed, whoso looked the high priest in the face, come on.
It would have wounded his heart.
Hearts will be wounded, come on.
For his countenance and the changing of his color declared the inward agony of his mind.
So the changing of the high priest's color declared the inward agony of his mind. Come on.
For the man was so compassed with fear and horror of the body, that it was manifest to them that looked upon him what sorrow he had now in his heart. Others ran flocking out of their houses to the general supplication, because the place was like to come into content. And the women, girt with sackcloth under their breasts, abounded in the streets. And the virgins that were kept in ran, some to the gates, and some to the walls, and others looked out of the windows. And all holding their hands towards heaven made supplications.
So everyone began to mourn. Come on.
Then it would have pitied a man to see the falling down of the multitude of all sorts, and the fear of the high priest being in such an agony. They then called upon the Almighty Lord to keep the things committed of trust safe, and sure for those that had committed them. Nevertheless, Heliodorus executed that which was decreed. Now as he was there present himself with his guard about the treasury, the Lord of spirits and the Prince of all power caused a great apparition, so that all the presumed to come in with him were astonished at the power of the Most High, and fainted, and were sore afraid.
So they began to faint, and they were sore afraid. Come on. Let's see what happened when the angels come. Read.
For they appeared unto them a horse with a terrible rider upon him, and adorned with a very fair covering. And he ran fiercely, and smote at Heliodorus with his 4 feet. And it seemed that he that sat upon the horse had complete harness of gold.
So the Most High sent angels to them. Come on.
Moreover, 2 other young men appeared before him, notable in strength, excellent in beauty, and comely in apparel, who stood by him on either side, and scourged him continually, and gave him many sore stripes.
So they whipped Heliodorus to hell and back with whips, man, lashes, pure lashes. Come on.
And Heliodorus fell suddenly onto the ground, and was compassed with great darkness. But they that were with him took him up, and put him into a litter. Thus him that lately came with a great train, and with all his guard into the said treasury, they carried out, being unable to help himself with his weapons.
You see that? He comes strong with guards and everything. And then he had to get carried out. He got to get borne out. Come on.
And manifestly they acknowledged the power of the Most High. For he by the hand of the Most High was cast down, and lay speechless before all hope of life. But they praised the Most High, that had miraculously honored his own place for the temple, which a little afore was full of fear and trouble, when the Almighty power appeared, was filled with joy and gladness. Then straightway certain of Heliodorus' friends prayed Onias that he would call upon the Most High to grant him his life.
See that? Now they want him call upon the Most High to grant him his life. Right? Because right now he about to give up the ghost. Read.
Who lay ready to give up the ghost. So the high priest suspected lest the king should misconceive that some treachery had been done to Heliodorus by the Jews, offered a sacrifice for the health of the man. Now, as the high priest was making an atonement, the same young men in the same clothing appeared and stood beside Heliodorus, saying, Give Onias the high priest great thanks, insomuch as for his sake the Lord hath granted thee life, and saying that thou hast been scourged from heaven, declare unto all men the mighty power of the Most High.
See that? You know, imagine being scourged from heaven. Scourged from heaven. Right? Come on.
And when they had spoken these words, they appeared no more. So Heliodorus, after he had offered sacrifice unto the Most High, and made great vows unto him that had saved his life, and saluted Onias, returned with his host to the king. Then testified he to all men the works of the great God, which he had seen with his eyes. And when the king asked Heliodorus who might be a fit man to be sent yet once again to Jerusalem, he said, If thou hast any enemy or traitor,
he said what? What is it?
If thou hast any enemy or traitor.
So he was like, when he went to the king, if you got an enemy or traitor, send him, because I ain't going. Right? Come on.
Send him thither, and thou shalt receive him well
You're
scourged.
going to receive him whipped right back here. Come on.
If he escape with his life, for in that place, no doubt, there is a special power of the Most High.
Come on.
For he that dwelleth in heaven have his eye on that place, and defendeth it. And he beateth and destroyeth them that come to hurt it. And the things concerning Heliodorus and the keeping of the treasury fell out on this sort.
Now let's move on. Let's read chapter 4. Let's deal with Simon. Come on. Verse 1.
Thus Simon now, of whom we spake afore, having been a betrayer.
Simon is a what?
Having been a betrayer of the money.
So he's a betrayer of the money. Come on.
And of his country. Slandered Onias.
So he began to slander Onias. Come on.
As if he had terrified Heliodorus and been the worker of these evils. Thus he was bold to call him a traitor.
He was bold to call him a traitor. Alright, come on.
That had deserved well of the city. And tendered his own nation, and was so zealous of the laws. But when their hatred went so far that by one of Simon's faction murders were committed.
Come on.
Onias, seeing the danger of this contention, and that Apollonius, as being the governor of Syria and Phoenix, did rage and increase Simon's malice.
Now let's drop down. Let's go to chapter 10 and verse 1, 2 Maccabees. So you see that, folks? He got mad concerning money of the treasury and went and betrayed his own brother Onias. He went to the other nations for him. Right? Just like Judas over the alabaster box. He went to the Romans for Christ. So it always starts with an offense. Come on. Second
Maccabees chapter 10 and 1. Now Maccabees and his company, the Lord guiding them, recovered the temple and the city. But the altars which the heathen had built in the open street, and also the chapels, they pulled down. And having cleansed the temple, they made another altar. And striking stones, they took fire out of them, and offered a sacrifice after 2 years, and set forth incense and lights and shewbread. When that was done, they fell flat down and besought the Most High that they might come no more into such troubles. But if they sinned any more against him, that he himself would chasten them with mercy.
So they wanted the Most High now to chasten them with mercy and not send the other nations to terrorize them. Come on.
And that they might not be delivered unto the blasphemous and barbarous nations. Now upon the same day that the strangers profaned the temple, on the very same day it was cleansed again. Even the 25th day of the same month, which is Caslu. And they kept 8 days with gladness, as in the Feast of the Tabernacles.
So they kept the dedication with gladness as in the Feast of Tabernacles. Come on.
Remembering that not long afore that had held the Feast of the Tabernacles, when as they wandered in the mountains and dens like beasts. Therefore they bare branches and fir boughs and palms also, and sang psalms unto him that had given them good success in cleansing his place. They ordained also by a common statute and decree that every year those days should be kept of the whole nation of Jews. And this was the end of Antiochus, called Epiphanes.
So after Antiochus died, Epiphanes, his son, reigned in his stead. Right? Which is called also Antiochus. Come on.
Now, will we declare the acts of Antiochus Eupator, who was the son of this wicked man, gathering briefly the calamities of the wars. So when he was come to the crowd, he set one Lysias over the affairs of his realm, and appointed him chief governor of Syria and Phoenice. For Ptolemais, that was called Macron, choosing rather to do justice unto the Jews for the wrong that had been done unto them, endeavored to continue peace with them.
So even one of the Greeks wanted peace with our people, right? Because of the wrong they had done unto them. Come on.
Whereupon being accused of the king's friends before Eupator, and called traitor at every word, because he had left Cyprus that Philometor had committed unto him, and departed to Antiochus Epiphanes, and saying that he was in no honorable place, he was so discouraged that he poisoned himself and died.
Poisoned himself and died. Come on.
But when Gorgias was governor of the wholes, he hired soldiers and nourished war continually with the Jews. And therewithal the Idumeans, having gotten into their hands the most commodious holes, kept the Jews occupied and receiving those that were banished from Jerusalem. They went about to nourish war. Then they that were with Maccabees made supplication and besought the Most High that he would be their helper. And so they ran with violence upon the strongholds of the Idumeans.
Come on.
And assaulting them strongly, they won the holes, and kept off all that fought upon the wall, and slew all that fell into their hands, and killed no fewer than 20,000.
Come on.
And because certain who were no less than 9,000 were fled together into 2 very strong castles, having all manner of things convenient to sustain the siege.
So now we want to see and understand, even though you had Maccabees and the brethren, there were still some that were among them, right, that were not following the ways, right, in righteousness, right? They were not following the order. They were still dealing with the traitor spirit, right, coveting money and so on. Come on.
Maccabees left Simon and Joseph and Zacchaeus also, and them that were with him, who were enough to besiege them, and departed himself unto those places which more needed his help.
Come on.
Now they that were with Simon, being led with covetousness,
so they were led with covetousness. Come on.
Were persuaded for money.
For what?
Were persuaded for money through certain of those that were in the castle, and took 70,000 drachms and let some of them escape.
They took 70,000 drams and let some of them escape. Come on.
But when it was told Maccabees what was done, he called the governors of the people together and accused those men that they had sold their brethren for money.
So our people started to sell their own people for money. Come on.
And set the enemies free to fight against them.
And set the enemies, the Greeks, free to fight against them. Come on. Traitors. Read.
So he slew those that were found traitors.
He slew Maccabees. Maccabees slew those who were found traitors. Come on.
And immediately took the 2 castles. And having good success with his weapons in all things he took in hand, he slew in the 2 holes more than 20,000.
More than 20,000 he slew. All the traitors that were among our people. Now let's get Luke chapter 6 verse 12. So there's always, folks, this is what you have to always look out for. Not everyone that's with you is truly down with you just because they're giving a smile. Right? People always come under the guise. Right? Come on. Luke chapter 6 verse 12.
Luke 6 and 12.
Come on.
And it came to pass in those days that he went out into a mountain to pray, and continued all night in prayer to the Most High. And when it was day, he called unto his disciples, and of them he chose 12, whom also he named apostles.
So he named, Christ named these disciples, right? Of which he chose 12, he named them apostles. Come on.
Simon, whom he also named Peter, and Andrew his brother, James and John, Philip and Bartholomew, Matthew and Thomas, James the son of Alphaeus, and Simon called Zealots, and Judas the brother of James, and Judas Iscariot, which also was the traitor. Judas Iscariot, which also was the traitor. Let's go to Luke 21 and 16. The book of Luke chapter 21 and verse 16. So this is where you got to remember. You got to know who is among you. You got to know who is among you. Right? Because this is what Christ prophesied right here. Luke 21 verse 16. Come on. Luke 21 and 16. And ye shall be betrayed both by parents.
By parents. Come on.
And brethren. And kinsfolk.
Come on.
And friends.
And even your own friends. Read.
And some of you shall there cause to be put to death.
Some of you shall there cause to be put to death. So you see that, folks? Some shall they cause to be put to death. Right? So you got to know how to operate around your family, around your kinsfolk and your friends. Right? Because these could be some of the same people that will give you up when that time comes. Right? So you got to know how to approach them with the word, how to handle certain things when it comes to sharing the word with your family. And try not to cause offenses. Offenses will come, but try not to cause them. Because remember, how you teach, you could offend people. The word is powerful as a two-edged sword, as it says in Hebrews. So you got to know how to put it forth. And it's what you say to people. So if you know they're doing stuff that they should be doing, you can share the word with them and pray about it. But don't act like a Pharisee and cause an offense. Because that very offense will lay right there to the time where they could use it. Right? So, it said both by parents, come on.
And brethren, and kinsfolk, and friends, and some of you shall there cause to be put to death.
So you see that just like Judas was Christ's friend. Right? Well, let's go to St. John chapter 13, verse 1. So now we're going to go into Christ's Passover. Come on.
John 13 and 1.
Uh-huh.
Now before the feast of the Passover, when Yeshaya knew that his hour was come, that he should depart out of this world unto the Father, having loved his own which were in the world, he loved them unto the end.
He loved them unto the end. Come on.
And supper being ended, the devil having now put into the heart of Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, to betray him.
So it was Satan who got in his heart to betray him. Right? So when you see this spirit, when you see betrayal is prevalent amongst people, this is the spirit that's there lying dormant, causing offenses, which leads to betrayal. Right? Come on.
Yeshaya, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hand, and that he was come from the Most High, and went to the Most High, he rising from supper, and laid aside his garments, and took a towel, and girded himself.
Come on.
After that he poured water into a basin, and began to wash the disciples' feet.
Well, that's why I actually forget to go. A basin so that we could perform this work. Come on.
And to wipe them with the towel, wherewith he was girded. Then cometh he to Simon Peter, and Peter saith unto him, Lord, dost thou wash my feet?
So Peter was like, will you wash my feet? Come on.
Yeshaya answered and said unto him, what I do thou knowest not now, but thou shalt know hereafter. Peter saith unto him, thou shalt never wash my feet. Yeshaya answered him, if I wash thee not, thou hast no part with me. Simon Peter saith unto him, Lord, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head. Yeshaya saith to him, he that is washed needeth not save to wash his feet, but is clean every bit. And ye are clean, but not all.
Ye are clean, but not all. So Yeshua started to drop jewels here to Peter, but he didn't understand. Right? Ye are clean, but not all. Right? Some of you here are clean, but not all of you are clean. Come on.
For he knew who should betray him. Therefore said he, ye are not all clean. So after he had washed their feet, and had taken his garments, and was set down again, he said unto them, know ye what I have done to you? Ye call me Master and Lord, and ye say well, for so I am. If I then, your Lord and Master, have washed your feet, ye also to wash one another's feet.
Come on.
For I have given you an example, that ye should do as I have done.
That ye should do as I have done. Come
to
on.
you. Verily, verily, I say unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord, neither he that is sent greater than he that sent him.
Let's jump on to verse 21.
When Yeshaya had thus said, he was troubled in spirit, and testified and said, verily, verily, I say unto you, that one of you shall betray me.
One of you shall betray me. Right? So he knew who would betray him from the beginning. Come on.
Then the disciples looked on one another, doubting of whom he spake.
So that, imagine how this was playing out. Just picture it in your mind. Right here amongst the 12, and he was like, one of you shall betray me. And they began to look around at each other like, who is it that he talking about? Come on.
Now there was leaning on Yeshaya's bosom one of his disciples whom Yeshaya loved. Simon Peter therefore beckoned to him that he should ask who it should be of whom he spake. He then lying on Yeshaya's breast saith unto him, Lord, who is it? Yeshaya answered, He it is to whom I shall give a salt when I have dipped it. And when he had dipped the salt, he gave it to Judas Iscariot, the son of Simon.
Come on.
And after the salt, Satan entered into him.
So the adversary, Lucifer, entered into Judas after the salt. Come on.
Then said Yashaya unto him,
Uh-huh.
That thou doest, do correctly.
So then said yashaya unto the spirit that went in him, which is Lucifer, or the devil, whatever you about to do, just do it quickly. Come on.
Now no man at the table knew for what intent he spake this unto
So
him.
they didn't understand or perceive that he was actually talking to the spirit that was right there. Come on.
For some of them thought because Judas had the bag, that Yeshua had said unto him, Buy those things that we have need of against the feast.
So they thought that he was saying, you know what? Go and buy the things we need for the feast. But they didn't know he was talking to the devil. That thou doest, do quickly. Come on.
Or that he should give something to the poor.
Uh-huh.
He then, having received the salt, went immediately, and it was night.
He went
immediately out,
and it was night. So now let's go over to Matthew 26. So as Judas received the salt, he went out immediately, and it was night. This was the same night, right? But first let's start of what got him vexed. Let's start at Matthew 26 and verse 6.
Now when Yeshua was in Bethany, in the house of Simon the leper, there came unto him a woman having an alabaster box of very precious ointment.
So this sister had very precious ointment, right? In an alabaster box. Come on.
And poured it on his head.
So she anointed Yeshaya. Come on.
As he sat at meat. But when his disciples saw it, they had indignation.
So who had indignation? Huh? Judas. Right? He had indignation. This is what got him offended. Read.
Saying, to what purpose is this waste? For this ointment might have been sold for much and given to the poor.
So we know that he didn't want to give it to the poor. We know what his purpose was for that ointment. Why he wanted it so bad. Hold on, let's see. Let's go to John 12 and 6. St. John 12 and 6. Let's see the real reason. So he said here, you know, to what purpose is this waste? For this ointment would have been sold for much and given to the poor. But did he really want it for the poor? Let's see. John chapter 12 verse 6.
John 12 and 6. This he said, not that he cared for the poor.
So Judas didn't care for the poor.
But because he was a thief.
He was a what?
He was a thief. And had the bag.
And he had the bag. So he was carrying the bag with the money. Right? So that's why we just read in John 13. When Yeshua said to the devil, that thou doest, do quickly. When the disciples thought, you know what, he was speaking to Judas to go and buy what they need for the feast, for he had the bag. So Judas always carried the bag. Right? He didn't want that for the poor. Now let's go back to Matthew 26. And let's start at verse 10.
When Yeshua understood it, he said unto them, Why troubleth ye the woman? For she hath wrought a good work upon me. For ye have the poor always with you, but me ye have not always. For in that she hath poured this ointment on my body, she did it for my burial.
She did it for Yeshua's burial. That's what the ointment was for. Come on.
Verily I say unto you, wheresoever this gospel shall be preached in the whole world, there shall also this, that this woman have done, be told for a memorial of her. So
we always got to remember that this sister did a great work on Yeshua, anointing his body for his burial. Come on.
Then one of the 12, called Judas Iscariot, went into the chief priest and said unto them, What will you give me? And I will deliver him unto you.
So you see what the offense led to? So this is why it's important that we always say, when it comes to Passover in the community, don't wait till that time comes. Solve matters, solve offenses. You don't want to be at the table with offenses or you got a problem with a sister or with a brother. Right? Because eventually that offense that's right there laying dormant is going to lead to you betraying that person. Right? It's going to lead to betrayal. Come on.
And they covenanted with him for 30 pieces of silver.
30 pieces of silver for nothing. Scrap change. Just like people do today. Right? Murder for hire. They got a problem with somebody that they want to get rid of. They give somebody a little scrap change to get rid of them. Come on.
And from that time he saw opportunity to betray him. Now the first day of the feast of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Yashaya, saying unto him, Where wilt thou that we prepare for thee to eat the Passover?
Come on.
And he said, Go into the city to such a man, and say unto him, The master saith, My time is at hand. I will keep the Passover at thy house with my disciples.
Come on.
And the disciples did as Yashaya had appointed them, and they made ready the Passover. Now when the even was come, he sat down with the 12.
He sat down with all the 12. Come on.
And as they did eat, he said, Verily I say unto you, that one of you shall betray me. And they were exceeding sorrowful, and began every one of them to say unto him, Lord, is it I?
Is it I? Is it me? Who it is? Come on.
And he answered and said, He that dippeth his hand with me in the dish, the same shall betray me.
So you know who's going to do something to you right before they even do it. And you there at the table explaining it to the rest of the brethren, like, this is the person who's going to do it before it even happened. Come on.
The Son of Man goeth as it is written of him, but woe unto that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It had been good for that man if he had not been born. Then Judas, which betrayed him, answered and said, Master, is it I? He said unto him, Thou hast said.
You have said. You said it. I ain't say it. Come on.
And as they were eating, Yashaya took bread and blessed it and brake it and gave it to the disciples and said, Take, eat, this is my body. And he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, Drink ye all of it, for this is my blood of the New Testament.
So the wine represents the blood of the New Testament. Come on.
Which is shed for many for the remission of sins.
So Christ's blood is shed for the remission of all of our sins. Right? Come on.
But I say unto you, I will not drink henceforth of this fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom. And when they had sung an hymn, they went out into the Mount of Olives. Then said Yashaya unto them, All ye shall be offended because of me this night. For it is written, I will smite the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock shall be scattered abroad.
I will smite the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock shall be scattered abroad. The shepherd is Yeshua, the sheep is the apostles. Right? When he was at trial, when they came and locked him up, what all the 12 do? And who was just right there peeping close by? Peter. All the rest take off. Come on.
But after I am risen again, I will go before you into Galilee. Peter answered and said unto him, Though all men shall be offended because of thee, yet will I never be offended. Yeshaya said unto him, Verily I say unto thee, that this night, before the cock crow, thou shalt deny me thrice.
Hmm.
Peter said unto him, though I should die with thee,
Uh-huh.
yet will I not deny thee.
Uh-huh.
Likewise also said all the disciples.
Come on.
Then cometh Yashaya with them unto a place called Gethsemane, and saith unto the disciples, sit ye here while I go and pray yonder.
Uh-huh.
And he took with him Peter and the 2 sons of Zebedee, and began to be sorrowful and very heavy. Then saith he unto them, my soul is exceeding sorrowful, even unto death. Tarry ye here, and watch with me. And he went a little further, and fell on his face, and prayed, saying, O my Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as thou wilt.
But as thou will. Remember we went over that lesson. His will be done. Right? So this is the Most High will. That how everything is played out should play out. He should be the sacrifice. Come on.
And he cometh unto the disciples, and findeth them asleep. And saith unto Peter, what? Could ye not watch with me 1 hour? Watch and pray, that ye enter into not into temptation.
Come on.
The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. He went away again the second time, and prayed, saying, O my Father, if this cup may not pass away from me, except I drink it, thy will be done. And he came and found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy. And he left them, and went away again, and prayed the 3rd time, saying the same words. Then cometh he to his disciples, and saith unto them, sleep on now, and take your rest. Behold, the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners.
So after Yeshua prayed those prayers, right? Judas and the men was at the door, ready, right? His hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Come on.
Rise, let us be going. Behold, he is at hand that doeth betray me.
Come on.
And while he yet spake, lo, Judas, one of the 12, came, and with him a great multitude with swords and staves, from the chief priests and elders of the people. Now he that betrayed him gave them a sign.
So Judas, right, gave the great multitude that were with swords a sign. Let's see what that sign is. Come on.
Saying, whomsoever I shall kiss,
whomsoever I shall kiss,
that same is he.
The same is he. This is the same Christ. I will give him a kiss, right, as a sign for you to know which one to drive. Come on.
Hold him fast.
Hold him fast. Come on.
And forthwith he came to Yashaya and said, Hail, Master, and kissed him.
And kiss him. Hold on and get Proverbs 27:6. He came to Yeshaya and gave him a kiss.
The book of Proverbs 27:6. Faithful are the wounds of a friend.
Faithful are the wounds of a friend. Come on.
But the kisses of an enemy
But
are
the kisses
deceitful.
of what?
But the kisses of an enemy are deceitful.
The kisses of our enemy are deceitful. That's what Judas came to do. You know what? Come there, see you. You see, they will even give you a kiss, folks. And that time the right didn't stop in your back. So as we will always hear when we're coming up, not every smile is a skin teeth. Right? So you're gonna always be weird. Let's go back to Matthew 26 and verse 50.
And Yeshaya said unto him, Friend, wherefore art thou come?
He said what? Friend,
friend.
Wherefore art thou come on.
Then came they and laid hands on Yashaya and took him.
So you see that? What he called him? His friend. Hold on and get Psalms 41 and 9. Let's see what happened to David. They be your friends. Right? So you see Yeshua eat with them, drink with them, pray with them, but one there is still not done with him. Right? He had a problem. He wanted the money. Right? The same thing was going on during the time of David. Yeah, Psalms 41 and 9. Just a quick precept.
Psalms 41, 9. Yea, my own familiar friend.
My own familiar friend.
In whom I trusted.
And whom I trusted. So the people that you trust them, they're your friend. In whom I trusted, come on.
Which they eat of my bread.
They sit down and eat and drink with you, come on.
Have lifted up his heel against me.
And they turn around and betray you. Stab you in your back. So this has always happened. It happened back then, during the time of David. It happened even, as I mentioned the last time, during the time of Abraham with his father. Right? His father gave him up to Nimrod. That's a betrayal. Giving up someone to the enemy is a betrayal. Right? Let's read that again.
Yea, my own familiar friend, in whom I trusted, which did eat of my bread, have lifted up his heel against me.
Have lifted up his heel against me. Come on.
But thou, O ahayah, be merciful unto me, and raise me up, that I may requite them.
Right, let's drop that and let's go back to Matthew. And then we're going to verse 51.
And behold, one of them which were with Yashaya stretched out his hand, and drew his sword, and struck a servant of the high priest, and smote off his ear.
So Peter smote off the high priest's ear. Come on.
Then said Yashaya unto him, Put up again thy sword into his place. For all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword.
You live by the gun, you die by the gun. Right? Come on.
Thinkest thou that I cannot now pray to my Father, and he shall presently give me more than 12 legions of angels? But how then shall the scriptures be fulfilled? That thus it must be. In that same hour said Yeshaya to the multitudes, Are ye come out as against a thief with swords and staves, for to take me? I sat daily with you, teaching in the temple, and ye laid no hold on me. But all this was done, that the scriptures of the prophets might be fulfilled. Then all the disciples forsook him and fled.
Smite the shepherd, right? And the sheep is scattered. All of them fled and left Yeshua right there. Right? So now, let's get Matthew 24 and 10. Let's get the last few. Matthew chapter 24 and verse 10.
Matthew 24 and 10. And then shall many be offended.
So see what it starts with. Offense. Many shall be offended, come on.
And shall betray one another.
So Christ prophesied, people will be offended and begin to betray one another. This is dealing with within. The world is always betraying one another. Come on.
And shall hate one another.
And begin to hate one another. Come on.
And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many.
And shall deceive many. Let's get 2 Timothy chapter 3 verse 1.
2 Timothy 3 and 1. This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come.
In the last days, perilous times should come.
For men shall be lovers of their own selves.
Right? So people are going to be only about their ego, about their self. Right? They won't care nothing about anyone else, just about themselves. Come on.
Covetous,
Uh-huh.
boasters,
Boasters.
proud,
Proud.
blasphemers,
Come on.
disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy,
Uh-huh.
without natural affection, truth breakers,
Mm-hmm.
false accusers,
False accusers.
incontinent,
Uh-huh.
fierce, despisers of those that are good,
Despisers of those that are good. They're hostile to virtue. Anybody that's righteous, they hate. Come on.
traitors,
Traitors. So in the last days, you will have traitors. Right? So when you look at traitors, right? It's from G4273. It says, the enemy's hand is surrender. Betrayer, traitor. Right? So you will have traitors. So Paul warned us of these things. Christ warned us of these things that would happen. So we must not take these prophecies for granted. You must be aware. Right? Because the devil has his agents that he will use. See how Christ has his people that he will use to do his work? The devil has his people, his agents, to do his work, his dirty work. So you got to be aware. So we want to take communion today. So we're going to get Matthew 26 again. And we're going to get 1 Corinthians 11. But first, before we get that, let's get 1 Corinthians 5. And let's begin at verse 7.
1 Corinthians 5 and 7.
Uh-huh.
Purge out therefore the old leaven.
So we always focus, like I said. Right? We always focus on the leaven within our homes. Right? But we should more focus on the leaven within our temple. Come on.
That ye may be a new lump,
So we have to be a whole, a new lump. Come on.
as ye are unleavened. For even Christ our Passover is sacrificed for us.
So even Christ, our Passover, is sacrificed for us. So he is now the Passover lamb. He is the lamb without blemish. Everything that the scripture said in the Old Testament, he came to fulfill. Come on.
Therefore, let us keep the feast.
Let us do what?
Therefore, let us keep the feast.
So as every year comes, we must keep this feast. Come on.
Not with old leaven,
So we must not keep the feast with old leaven. Right? The leaven of what? Read on.
neither with the leaven of malice and wickedness.
So you can't be keeping this feast sitting on a table with malice, with wickedness in your heart, like Judas. Right? That's leaven. Old leaven. Come on.
But with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth.
Right? So if you're unleavened, you're going to have sincerity and truth. You're going to have the fruits of the Spirit. But if you leaven, you're going to have the flesh, the works of the flesh, everything of the flesh that's contrary to what the Most High is looking for in us. Come on.
I wrote unto you in an epistle not to company with fornicators.
Alright, let's drop that. So we're going to get Matthew chapter 26 and 26. 1 Corinthians 11. So we're going to take communion. Remember, if you're not baptized, right? Don't take no communion. And also, if you're not right, if you got any offenses that you haven't solved, you shouldn't take no communion. Let's go. Matthew 26, verse 26.
And as they were eating, Yashaya took bread and blessed it and brake it and gave it to the disciples and said, "Take, eat, this is my body." And he took the cup.
Right. So, eat. So, ahayah b'Hashem Yashaya, may we bless this bread that we eat in your son's name. Amen. Come on.
And he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, "Drink ye all of it, for this is my blood of the New Testament. This is shed for many for the remission of sins."
Amen. Alright, so now let's get Corinthians and read that. I'm going to read Corinthians first, but let's start at verse 20.
1 Corinthians 11 and 20. For when ye come together therefore into one place, this is not to eat the Lord's Supper.
So when we come together feasting, folks, it's not about just eating and drinking. We do that at home, we do that at work, you do that at school, you do that everywhere. That's just the normal cycle. You gotta eat, right, and drink. But this is not about that. It's about Christ. It's about performing His works, His will, right? The Most High's will. Doing what's required of us, right? So it's not about eating and drinking. Because that's how the church of Corinth think it was. So this is what Paul told him. Come on.
For in eating everyone taketh before other his own supper.
So this is carnal, right? They was just grabbing food before one another. Fast. Come on.
And one is hungry, and another is drunken.
One hungry, left hungry, somebody else drunk. This is how they was. Come on.
What? Have ye not houses to eat and to drink in?
So we all have houses to eat and drink in. Right? Come on.
Or despise ye the church of the Most High, and shame them that have not? What shall I say to you? Shall I praise you in this? I praise you not.
So there's no praise in doing those type of works. Come on.
For I have received of the Lord that which I also delivered unto you, that the Lord yashaya, the same night in which he was betrayed, took bread. And when he had given thanks, he brake it and said, "Take, eat, this is my body, which is broken for you. This do in remembrance of me." After the same manner also he took the cup, when he had supped, saying, "This cup is the New Testament in my blood. This do ye as oft as ye drink it in remembrance of me. For as often as ye eat this bread and drink this cup, ye do shew the Lord's death till he comes."
So this is showing the Lord's death till he comes. And we are doing this in remembrance of him. Not just about eating and drinking. Come on.
Wherefore, whosoever shall eat this bread and drink this cup of the Lord unworthily shall be guilty of the body and blood of the Lord.
So this is why I say you don't want to drink this unworthily. You don't want to drink this and you're not right mentally and physically. You got issues going on with other people. You don't want to drink this. Come on.
But let a man examine himself.
Let a man do what?
But let a man examine himself, and so let him eat of that bread.
So when you examine yourself, you're checking to see if you're right spiritually. Come on.
And so let him eat of that bread and drink of that cup. For he that eateth and drinketh unworthily, eateth and drinketh damnation to himself.
So you're eating and drinking damnation to yourself if you do it unworthily. Come on.
Not discerning the Lord's body.
Because the bread represents his body. The wine represents his blood. Come on.
For this cause many are weak.
So if you drink it unworthily, you become weak. Come on.
And sick
They get sick. Come on.
And many sleep.
And many die. Come on.
For if we would judge ourselves, we should not be judged.
So if we would judge ourselves inwardly, looking at ourselves and not pointing at others, we should not be judged. Thus saith the Most High. Right? So all praise to the Most High for allowing us to have a holy convocation, going over some examples, saying how betrayal does start through offenses, over money, over petty stuff. Right? It's always start with an offense. Right? So going forward, we gotta try to be unbothered. Stop letting petty stuff bother us. Right? Because when it bother you, it gets you in a different spirit, and then you feel some type of way about someone else. Right? So you see, if Judas didn't let that that anointing bother him, right? It probably wouldn't go down that way. If wicked Simon didn't let the treasury bother him, he wouldn't go and betray Onias concerning money, right? To the king, right? And another thing, the other example they didn't bring in this lesson. If Abraham's father didn't let Abraham telling the truth about his idols bother him, he wouldn't give his son to Nimrod to be burned. Right? So he betrayed his own son, he gave his son. Because remember, that was kept as a secret. Betrayal is you giving up secrets also. You're exposing the truth that's supposed to be hidden. You're betraying somebody else. So the truth that was hidden is concerning his son, that he concealed from being killed during the time when they had a hit on him. Right? Because those who could have read the stars back then say, you know what, this is his child. This is the seed that will destroy you in the long run. So Abraham's father hid him, put a child in his stead to save his son. Right? So going forward, folks, we gotta fix issues. Don't let simple issues, it don't always go to Passover, no matter what it is, no matter which feast day it is, tabernacles. Something does always pop up. Somebody may always do something that you don't like or you don't feel good about. Right? But as long as you address it and you forgive one another, move forward. Leave that behind. Right? And another thing, we gotta start provoking one another to anger. Right? Provoke. The scriptures say to provoke one another to good works and love. Love and good works. Right? So, all praise to the Most High. Kwam Yasharala? Kwam Yasharala? Amen.